What is up, RPG fans? I've been wanting to make this video ever since I beat Dragon Quest V, which was, like a week ago, so not really that long. Okay, probably like 2 or 3 weeks ago. But anyway, I really have been wanting to make this tier list, and I'm super excited. Hopefully I can remember everything about all these monsters that I was using, but geez, we are making a tier list. We've got all 71 monsters from the DS version. This is going to be a long one, so buckle up and get some popcorn. 71 monsters, as well as the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 total playable party members. That includes temporary party members. So the the 3 wife choices, the 5 other, so the 3 wife choices, the hero's son, the daughter, Tuppence, and Sancho, which are all endgame, like playable, as well as Honey, and Harry and Pancrase. Pancraz. I don't know how you say that name. However you say it, I don't know. But the father of the hero. So those are going to be all the characters, and then yes, all the monsters. And I'm going to go in order from worst to best. Usually in the tier list, I'll go in like alphabetical order or something, but there are so many of these guys that I had to compile a list, and I just want to do it from worst to best. And so what do I think the worst monster in the entire Dragon Quest V is? One precursor, I am more of a monsters that stay good over time type of person. So there are a lot of monsters that right when you get them are really good, and then you dispose of them by the next area, and then, So a lot of the monsters that get to like level 10 or 15 with decent, like really good OP stats, but as soon as they cap, they're pretty weak. Those type of monsters are typically going to go DE or F tier for me. Low-level monsters, say for the King Cure Slime, that have amazing stats anyway, that doesn't matter. I don't care what level they're at, as long as they have good stats. But most of those don't have good stats. So what do I think the worst monster that in the game, in my experience with Dragon Quest V, I'm going to have to say the Goodie Bag. The Goodie Bag is good defense, but that's about it. Like, that's literally it. I can't think of a single good ability the Goodie Bag had. I think the best thing it had was, I don't even know. I can't remember. I just remember it being so awful. The best thing is the defense. It had like no equipment. It was just really bad. The only reason the Goodie Bag is good is for killing it and getting Gil. Or Gold. Sorry, not Gil. This ain't Final Fantasy. But really, the Goodie Bag is trash. I think the Goodie Bag is one of the worst in the whole game. I don't know if that's an agreed upon opinion in the community, because nobody talks about the Goodie Bag, nor should they. Don't waste your breath on the Goodie Bag. Worst in the game, in my opinion. And second worst in the game is going to have to go to the ticking time berm. It's so awful. Again, these are two that, like, if you have them for about 10 minutes, they're not terrible. But if you actually want any of these guys to like keep going after you catch them, no. And again, this really, I'm going to be talking about like the peak. Like, how good can they get? What is their potential? And really, the ticking time berm has absolutely no potential. It literally has an ability that kills itself to do damage, and another ability that kills itself to do damage, but it doesn't ever get enough MP to use, so it's worthless. The ticking time berm is awful. The only reason it can be kind of good is if you get lucky enough to get it, it's a pretty high catch rate for how awful it is. A lot of monsters are like that in this game, where they're hard to catch, but still trash. But anyway, this ticking time berm, the only reason it is not like in last is because it can equip boomerangs, which is pretty nice at this point in the game, but guess what can also equip boomerangs? Slimes. And guess what? Slimes are good. So, yeah. All right, let's move on to the bad apple, which is an F tier, for sure. It's like the rotten apple, which a lot of people like the rotten apple. It's one of those ones where it's really good for about, 30 minutes, and then it's bad. And it's a good one. I get why people like the rotten apple, but the bad apple is basically the exact same but green, and you get it way later in the game. You have to basically beat the game by the time you can get the bad apple. And it's still a little bit better than the last two. At least it's not an embarrassment to mankind, because, you know, it has like one good ability. I don't remember what ability because I don't waste my time using the bad apple after leveling it up twice and realizing it was hot rubbish. Not twice, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the bad apple's just not good. It's the rotten apple, but worse, and you get it later. All right, speaking of the rotten apple, that's another one of my least favorites. That's going to be next. Again, I get that people like this for using it right away because its stats start pretty good compared to some of the other monsters. But if you compare it in the long term, or even the mid-term, to any of these other monsters, it just is not good. Like, I think by the time you finish all the events in Coburg, Harry leaves the party, like, it's already outclassed by plenty of other monsters. Like, it's kind of embarrassing. So, in the end, oh boy, I hate these apples. They look stupid too. Like, oh my gosh. Okay, next looks even stupider. Not that that has any bearing on my rankings, but the hooligan. The hooligan is good for one thing, and that's dancing, just like its name. But guess what dancing does in this game? It lowers MP of the enemy. And the best thing that the hooligan can do is take 6 MP away from the enemy at a time, or like 7 or 8 or something. When that's the best thing you can do, that's pretty stupid. I don't hate it as much as these other ones because it gets a little bit better stats, in my opinion. So it's a pretty not complete trash, but it's complete trash. Like, it really just it's so bad. Like, just don't waste your time with the hooligan. All right, next is going to be the rock bomb. I know some people like the rock bomb. It has high defense. Again, that's about it. And once you level it up, it just peaks. And that's about it. Like, it has a low level, and once you're done, it doesn't get anything better. The idea of the rock bomb really is it has high defense and it can kerplunk. Kerplunk will revive the other party members at the cost of its own self. When that's all, it's basically just a free, like, reviving character. That's all the point. And that's all it does, is it basically gives your team a free revive. However, there are other people who get kerplunk that can do other things. In fact, I think the hero gets kerplunk. And not that you want the hero to die, but also go to the casino, get a couple elven elixirs, and if you ever need to use kerplunk, which you shouldn't have to because this game is easy as frick, if you ever need to use kerplunk, get some elven elixirs, and kazing, you're a hero. You can use kerplunk with the hero. It's not a big deal. You don't need a rock bomb to do it. Also, it's a 1 in 64 catch, which is way too high for this piece of trash. So, hate this stupid thing. Okay, let's move on to the next one on this list, which is the Fat Rat, which... the Fat Rat's like the most forgettable monster in this game. The only reason I remember this was in the game is because there's a Fat Rat and Blue Dragon, and that's a much better iteration of the Fat Rat, in my opinion. But really... what is there to say about the Fat Rat? Like, I don't even know. Like, what does the Fat Rat even have? Like, claws? No attack? Like, oh my gosh. Like, seriously, why is the Fat Rat in this game? Didn't need to be. Well, they added it in this version, and you think if they're going to add something, it might be good, but no, it has awful stats. Low level, it doesn't even get any magic. Its best thing is a fire breath that does 20 damage. And I guess it can, paralyze enemies. Yay, paralyzing enemies. Oh yeah, the Great Saber Cat can do that to the whole enemy party. Free of charge. And, like, right away. Stay away from the Fat Rat, everyone. Don't do yourself a disservice and use this piece of trash. All right, moving from the E tier to the D tier, we're getting some good ones now. Just kidding. Psych. Still a bunch of bad ones. Next is going to be the Bomb Bowler. Same deal as the Rock Bomb, but better. I could maybe move it up to C. But the 1 in 256 catch rate makes this a piece of garbage. You do not need a 1 in 256 catch rate for something your hero can do anyway. I'm sorry, but I mean, the hero's good, but you don't need him so much that you can't kerplunk if you really need kerplunk, which you really don't, because again, this game is too easy for that. And you don't need to have a party member dedicated to the Kerplunk spell. That's stupid as frick, and let's move on. All right, we're moving on to the Fandango, which is this cactus thing, which I wish this guy was cool because he's a cactus. But the Fandango, again, it's just like the Hooligan or the Fat Rat. It's all about like weird status effects, and that's just not good. It's not good in a game where just beating things up is usually better. I mean, there's some good status effects, but here we go. Weird dance, weirder dance, weirdest dance, paralysis attack, and sleep attack. That's all you get. That's all you get. Guess what? It's the Hooligan plus the Fat Rat. It's better than both of them, but it's still trash. So get yourself a new life, cactus, and go grow somewhere else that's not in Dragon Quest V. Go be a cactar, or go be a cactoid from FF12, because they couldn't just name it cactar again. They needed to be different and not like the other girls. So please, by all means, be good, like the Cactus, GF, or Esper. Do something worth your time, and get something other than the Fandango. Okay, let's move on. That was a stupid rant. Small fry. For some reason, my brother Seth is addicted to using the small fry. I know he's just messing with me because he doesn't actually think it's good. But here's the small fry. It doesn't have too bad of attack, and it has a nice breath attack for the beginning of the game. Very, very huge emphasis on for the beginning of the game. Breath attacks, for those of you who might not remember, are just multi-hitting magic attacks that hit the entire party, enemy party, right? So the best thing you can get with this guy is 65 to 85 damage full hitting attack, which sounds good. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it's not awful, but by the time you get this guy to level 28, you have much better, stronger characters with better strength stats, better HP, better level ups, better agility, better all of that. Also, the small fry is one of the worst equipment draws in the game outside of the apples and Rebjorn. And just really bad. It's just really bad because Kaboom can do 3 times as much damage as that, or Bang can do just as much damage. And yes, breath attacks can be really good for some, but it's not, it's just not. Like, when your best thing is a breath attack that by the point in the game that you get that breath attack is completely outclassed, it's just not good. And when you start with fire breath, it does what, like 10 damage? 6 to 10 damage. Yeah, 10 damage. And yes, its physical attack is not trash, but it's still not better than anything else. And I'd rather take a slime with a lower physical attack that's actually going to go before the enemy. Because guess what? I can have 4 slimes in my party and kill the whole enemy party with boomerangs before they attack because they're so fast. And that's why slimes are broken in this game. And that's why they dominate this tier list. But, because the agility is just so good in this game. But anyway, Small Fry is fine, but he's not good. I really wanted him to be good because he's a dragon. And I like myself some dragons. But really? Really not a good recruit. Alright, let's move on to the next one on this list, which is going to be the Hades Helm. Okay, the Hades Helm has a couple of the same problems as this last one. First of all, I said the apples had bad equipment draws. I said Rebjorn had bad equipment draws. Think again. This guy, all across the board, has 6 pieces of equipment. Yes, that is weapons, helmets, and armor. 6. Okay? Just let that sink in. The best things about this guy are they're pretty high HP and defense. Meditation, which is a free heal spell. It heals 500 HP to itself, which is pretty good, pretty good. And Kazang. Guess what? There's something called full heal, and it's very cheap. Don't need this guy. Second of all, who wants to heal themselves if the thing they're healing themselves is trash? So let's just not do that. Second of all, Kazing can be gotten by my good man, the hero's son, which I named Banks. So get out of here and let me have Banks in my party. because he's way better than you will ever be. Let's move on. So let's see what our next candidate for depression is, and that is the cross eye. The cross eye is just not great. It's just one of those like super mid ones. Like I don't even remember what it looks like. Just kidding. No, I do. It's right here. But really, the cross eye is just one of the most mid, forgettable. I mean, it looks fun. I actually really like this guy. Like he looks kind of cute. Like I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of cute. But his stats are absolute gutter trash. Like so bad. Like so bad. And he gets muster strength, which raises his attack, which is nice. He also gets full and mid heal, which is also good. And he has boomerangs. But guess who has all of that stuff? My man Banks. Okay. And pretty much... Oh, guess what? Oh, the heal slime does all that, but better. And the cure slime. And basically every slime. So let's move on. I mean, I'm sorry, but that's just really how it is. Like, if you like yourself some cross-eye, you like yourself some cross-eye, but it's not good. Full heal is the best thing it's got. Muster strength is the second best thing it's got. That's kind of embarrassing. So let's move on. All right, the next on this list is going to be Dragoof. You know, I like that there's Dragoof and Dragoon, although, you know, I would have liked to be able to get both of them and have one of them be, like, really good and have the Dragoof just be awful as frick. That would have been funny because my sense of humor is awful. But the Dragoof, you want to guess? It's a slightly better version of the small fry. It gets basically the same things, but it gets a butt ton of HP. That's it. More HP, more strength. Worse of some other stats. Takes longer to level up. Dragoof's just a slightly better small fry. Still think he's better than these two because of his HP stat, but other than that, he's trash as frick. I don't know why I'm saying everything is as frick, but you know what? These are some bad monsters. Like, once we get into the B tier, there might be some that are worth putting in your party for more than 10 minutes. Like, this game has a lot of bad monsters. Like, this is no Ni no Kuni, where most of the familiars are like, No, these are like downright bad monsters, at least in my opinion. All right, if you can't bring them to the end game and still have them be good, they're not a good monster in my opinion. Like that's just where we are. That's just how it's. When you only get 8 slots in your wagon, you got to think smarter, not harder, and you got to be getting the best monsters you can right away. All right, next is the Hell Lion, which, I mean, it's all right. Overrated. It's just, I'm not going to quote that dumb thing, but the Hell Lion is fine. It has Kasap, it has Muster Strength, and it has Boomerangs. I mean, that's good. And it has decent HP, but everything else sucks. Strength sucks. Also, who needs Kasap when, like, a million other people have Kasap? Like, the slime has Kasap. Like, if you can't be better than the freaking slime, you have issues. It is the slime. It's supposed to be weak, but yet there are so many monsters worse than this little blob. It looks like a water drop. You're a freaking lion with hell in your name. You should be able to do something better than this little blob. Yet you can't because you are an uninspired piece of trash who can only use Kasap, and that's your best ability. And boomerangs, I guess. But yes, you can also use boomerangs. Every slime. Not every slime. Pretty much every slime. The hero. My man Banks. The hero. Did I say the hero? Yes. You don't need 9 people with boomerangs, and you definitely don't need the Hell Lion. All right, let's move on before I get a little too feisty. Also, you get it way too late in the game for it to be this bad. Okay, next in the D tier is Honey. Yes, we have not gotten to... I don't know why it is not showing her face. I don't know why it picks such stupid aspect ratio. I don't know. Just zoom in on the face, not the... I don't even know what this is, the torso. Anyway, Honey is a temporary character that you get during the beginning of the game in the fairy portion. And she is really useless. Like, let's be honest with ourselves. She's pretty useless. You do not need her. You're plenty fine with you and your pet. But guess what? she does join the party. And guess what? She's better than all these other idiots. And the fact that she is this high is embarrassing because she's worthless, which means all these other monsters are worse than worthless. Not really, because I mean, the more monsters in the game, the better, and they're cute, and I like some of their designs, especially the Cross-Eye, the Small Fry, the Fandango, and the Dragoof. But, oh, I love the Goodie Bag, too. The Goodie Bag is such a fun monster. Hopefully it's good in Dragon Quest Monsters. I have not played Dragon Quest Monsters, any of them. Excited to play those games, but anyway, yeah. Honey being better than all these guys is stupid. So let's move on. Well, what have we got next? We still are in the D tier. The D tier is a little bit loaded. It's kind of huge. You know what? I think I want to move a couple of these guys down. I think the Small Fry is really where we start the D tier. I think that's more fair. Because, you know, this thing is just... I don't think... I'm going to move it with its brethren. It's a little better, but not really enough better for it to be. Also, why is it like smaller? That's weird. Okay. Anyway. Next is the Wax Murderer, which is a fun pun. I will say that. I do like it. I also really like its design, wherever it may be. Oh, here it is. It looks great. But that doesn't mean it's good. I mean, Wax Murderer, come on, that's iconic. But other than that, it's just trash. Like, absolute trash. Stats suck. The best thing this guy gets... Okay, he can equip the Metal King armor and the Metal King sword. That's mostly why he's this high on the list. He also has TikTok. A good spell that changes it between night and day. Which you actually don't get with a lot of guys until pretty late in the game. But guess what? It's not that bad, but it's super easy to catch because you've run into like a million of them if you want to. Also, Frizzle is not too bad, and Flame Breath is not too bad, and it has a lot of decent resistances. But I mean, it's bad. Everything this guy does, the Slime Knight does better, and it's so much easier to catch, and you get it way earlier in the game, and it just looks cooler as frick. Okay, let's move on. What's next? What's next? What's next? Yeah, I don't know. It's just so bad. So bad. So bad. So bad. So bad. Bad, so bad. I just don't even know anymore. Like, I want to go, like, find out who did the balancing in this game. Ask him why such a cool candle Wax Murderer couldn't be broken as frick. Anyway, let's move on to one of the most basic, should be like the worst in the game, other than the slime. But, you know, that's just not how this game works. The slime should be worse than all of these guys. But, now... we're moving on to the Brownie. The Brownie is one of the few monsters in this game that has absolutely no abilities. That puts it really in the D tier. Because its strength, HP, and defense are solid. Its equips are pretty nice. And it's cute. But, not that that matters in the ranking, but it's cute. And really, the Brownie just doesn't have anything that really sets it apart. Because its attack is good. But guess who also has good attack and has abilities? The Slime Knight. Really? And it can get to level 99, which is nice. But if you're spending the time to get a Brownie to level 99, you should be spending it on someone better. Even the basic slime is better. So, just, I don't even, like, just, I don't know. Okay, let's go on to the next awful trash monster. I want to talk about the good ones. Can we just not talk about the good ones? I guess I can go a little faster. I'll go a little faster. The Fungool is basically what people think the rotten apple is. It is the best, in my opinion. The rotten apple doesn't get boomerangs. That's really my thing. So the Fungool has a lot of good status effect attacks, great stats right when you get it. It will be the best monster in the game right when you get it. But about 10 minutes later, not worth it anymore. Its boomerang can be better spent on the hero, on any of the slimes. Really, it just doesn't get enough good abilities, and it does not get good enough stats to warrant putting it any higher on the list. And yeah, really, that's just what I gotta say about this character. All right, the Grudgerigar. Funny thing, I spent like 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, like 2 hours trying to catch a Bludgegar, thinking it was a Grudgegar. Because they're the same, in my opinion. They sound way too similar, and they look the same except one's white and one's pink. And then I realized, oh my gosh, Brighton, you're an idiot. You just spent 2 hours catching something that can't be caught. Okay, anyway. The Grudgegar is really only good for the fact it gets oomph. I think it gets oomph. Maybe it gets Kasap. It gets one of those two. Actually, I'm going to look it up really quick. The Grudgerigar. Oh, it gets both Kasap. Oh, it gets Kasap, Kabuff, and oomph. But guess what? It has the worst stats in the whole freaking game. Like, I honestly don't think I'm joking about that. I mean, it gets boomerangs. Not very many of them, though. I'm sorry, not very many other good weapons, though, other than the boomerangs. The guys who can get boomerangs and good swords and stuff, and just... Also, it has way too low of MP to be casting Kasap, Kabuff, and Oomph. Like, the person who's using that needs to have a lot of MP, because you need to be using those a lot. I mean, you don't need to be, but I use those a lot. And I just don't think the Grudgerigar can do that, because guess what? Your wife can do that, or your child can do that. And before that, you don't need it. And by the time you get Oomph, Kasap, and Kabuff with the Grudgerigar, you're going to have it with other characters that are worth keeping in your party. So don't waste your time with this. Also, don't be like me and fail catching it. Okay, so the next few are actually a very interesting case, in my opinion. And actually, I'm just going to literally rank them all together. They are these guys. And I can't remember if I like the blue ones or the not blue ones better. I think the blue ones are the slightly better ones, but I could be wrong about that. They're really all the same, in my opinion on them. So I'm not going to rank them because they're all like an 8-way tie or whatever. Like, it's just really funny. Because, in theory, these guys have some of the best abilities in the game and decent stats. Kinda decent stats. Because none of them have enough MP to use any of the awesome abilities they have. So basically, they're just joke characters. Now, if you want to put a bunch of Elfin Elixirs on them because gambling for Elfin Elixirs is cheap as heck, sure. They aren't the most awful, and they can be completely average. And they are fun. They should be good. If they just all had 3 times more MP, they would actually be amazing monsters. And that's why I just feel like I can't put them in D tier, because they all deserve to be good, but they're not. So really, that's what I have to say about all these guys. And we get a lot more C tiers coming up soon, so get hyped. Next is going to be the Pocus Poppet. Nope, that's the Magic Marionette. Where's the Pocus Poppet? Oh, that's the Pocus Poppet. The most ugly looking thing in the whole game. Honestly. The Pocus Poppet, I don't even know. Let me see. I'm trying to remember. I have to click on my phone around to find what all these abilities are, because I couldn't remember all these, but I promise I ranked. Okay, so the biggest highlights of the Pocus Poppet is that it gets Kasap, gets buff, which is not Kabuff, but it's still buff, and that's nice. And it doesn't have the worst stats in the game. And it has some solid magic resistances, as well as semi-decent equipment. It's really the magic resistances and the not complete crappy stats that put the Pocus Poppet this high, as well as the Kasap. Also, it is a pretty early game recruit, which makes it a little better. No, I sound kind of stupid right now. I'm gonna put the Pocus Poppet here and put this guy here because this guy has a lot more things going for it. So honestly, the Pocus Poppet, yeah, it may have better stats than the Grudger Guard, but that thing has quite a few cool abilities. But the Pocus Poppet does have a lot of good magic resistances, but it doesn't really deserve to be higher than any of these guys. So honestly, let's switch that around there. All right. There's a lot of guys here, so I'm just trying to remember what all of them do, and I'm doing a slightly good, decent job at it. So let's move on to the next on this list, which is going to be the Walking Corpse, which some claim is the worst monster in the game on the thingamabobbies. Okay, what was I? Let's see. I think I kind of overrated this guy like quite a bit. I think I was going throughout the game, ranking them as I went. So some of them are not 100% accurate. The Walking Corpse is definitely worse than I said it was. I'm gonna put the Walking Corpse. Let's put it in the E tier. I think top of E tier is fair. I think when I first looked at this, it looked a lot more impressive than it was, but it is definitely one of the worst in the game. However, it has better equipment than like all of these guys, as well as having better a couple of actually not trash abilities. So that is nice, nice, and also, oh wow, it's really good in Dragon Quest Six. Guess that's nice. Anyway, besides that point, it can equip the Metal King helm and the shield, but not the armor or the weapon, which is really weird. And it does have some good swords. It gets the Hell Saber and it does get the Devil armor, so those are both decent. But it's not the Metal King stuff, and you would never put the Metal King stuff on such an awful character. Just saying. Just saying. It's just not good. And I do not know why I was actually about to put him in the C tier. That was stupid as frick on my part. Alright, let's move into the Hoodlum. The Hoodlum is one of the more interesting ones, in my opinion. It is really good HP and strength wise, but all of its other stats are pretty trash. However, the HP and strength are really good, and it gets an ability Frenzy, which is one of the more interesting abilities in the game. It does double damage. Okay. Here's the thing about it. Frenzy does double damage to a random target, but it can also hit your party, which is just too random for me. I do like it. I think it's a cool idea, and it can't hit yourself. So if you're soloing for some reason, then it can be kind of good because it just does double damage. But first of all, it's better to just have a party than solo. And it's just a little too random. It's like a roulette, and I'm just not a big fan of that. Its only other ability is Sap. So it doesn't really get many abilities, but it is basically just a better version of the Brownie with a couple of abilities and some really good damage. So I don't know. I don't hate the Hoodlum. Is that even the Hoodlum? No, that's Dwight. That's Dwight. That's Dwight. That's the Hoodlum. There we go. There we go. But I think Dwight is up next anyway, so. Oh, not quite yet, but he's coming soon. So, there's a little bit of time before Dwight. Never mind, never mind. So, I don't know. The Hoodlum's not bad, but, it's just not very good either. So, it's kind of just a better Brownie. That's about it. I mean, we're still not at a point where it's anything good. Okay, the Mudraker is one of those ones that is solid for about 10 minutes. It has a couple of good things. It has good swords. I will give it that. It does get some good equipment, and that is a bonus in every way of the word. Good HP, but pretty bad stats across the board otherwise. However, it does get Warcry, Absorb Magic, and Kabuff, all of which are great abilities, as well as all the Metal King equipment. So, its stats are garbage, and I would never bring it later in the game. and it still can't compare to most of the slimes because, you know, like my slimy friend right here can even get Kabuff, if I remember correctly. I think the normal slime gets Kabuff, which makes me wonder why the normal slime's actually good. But really, I mean, I guess they don't want the first guy in the game to feel bad and then never use another monster again. But yeah, it gets Kabuff at level 10, the normal slime, and Kasap at 15. Normal slime is doing better than all these guys. So I don't know. Mudraker is just eh. Just straight up eh. It's probably the most average person on this list. Like I'd say this is really like mid C tier. Yeah, that sounds about right. Probably. Well, if you're counting these guys as just one or two, it really is mid C tier. But judging that there's so many of these guys, it's kind of hard to say. But really, I don't know. The Mudraker, it could be good, but its stats are just not good enough to warrant using it. It is good for about. It's one of those like 20-minute recruits that are fun to mess around with, but not really actually worth keeping in your party. All right, let's move on to the next character on this list, which we get another human, finally, and that's Harry. Harry Potter. Just kidding, no, not Potter. Where is Harry? I think he's this guy. I don't know why they can't just show the face, but you know what? It is what it is. Harry's just not really good. His magic is kind of weak. His whips are kind of weak. And he's not in your party for very long, and every point where he's in your party, you can put a monster in your party instead. Just don't use Harry. I mean, he's not awful, but he's really not worth putting in the party when you can get some better, like, put your hero in, a slime knight, and either a fungool for a little bit. Probably not. I'd rather just go catch a metal slime, but that's just me. But metal slime, slime knight, and the hero over Harry any day. Just saying. Or if you don't want to actually no, if you don't want to go metal slime hunting, put in the jail cat. Get your slime, jail cat, slime knight, and your hero, and you'll be doing better than anything Harry can do. Again, Harry's one of those ones just like, he's just about average. Like, he's not awful. Like, again, C tier is not awful. There's just things holding them back. These guys, it's their MP stat. This guy, it's their stats in general, even though the abilities are good. This guy, again, it's the stats. This guy, it's the randomness. And again, Harry, it's just, he's outclassed. That's really just where we're at right now. And that's really it. So, let's move on. Above this is going to be the Beastmaster. I don't remember really anything about the Beastmaster, but first of all, I want to look it up again but first of all, the biggest problem with the Beastmaster that I do remember is it's just too late in the game. It's just way too late in the game for it to be worth it. And the best things it gets are Sap and Multi-Heal, which I will admit, Multi-Heal is good. But you can get the King Cure Slime Omni Healing from level 1 with like max MP. Like, not max MP, but the best MP in the game. Super easy to level up King Cure Slime. The best part about the Beastmaster, good stats across the board with really good HP, as well as multi-heal. But again, he's just outclassed. Like, you can get the King Cure Slime has everything this has, but way better. That's just really how it is. And there's just a lot of other, or even a Chimera. I'd rather pull out a Chimera. The biggest part about the Beastmaster that holds it back is that if it was going to be this late in the game, it needs to be good. It's just not. Like, you have to go some great lengths. I mean, it's really easy to catch, but like, if I remember correctly, it's only in that one optional dungeon where you fight the archdemons. That probably is wrong. Pretty sure that's wrong, but it's just not really even like, it's not the easiest enemy to find, even though it's super easy to catch, and it's really not worth it. Like, it's not worth investing in this when at this point you probably have like a level 40 slime knight that is doing everything this guy does, but better. Alrighty. And it can equip boomerangs and whips. So, you know, I don't know. It's not too bad. This is where we're starting to get like high C tier, where it's like almost worth putting in the party. Almost worth putting in the party if you want to make the game harder on yourself. Alright. Next is Draki. Draki's another one of those ones who's just like, okay. Like good equipment, not amazing, not the best equipment in the game, but good equipment, okay abilities, okay stats, almost enough to be a B tier, but not quite a B tier. And then Hawkman is basically really the same idea as the Draki, just decent all around, top of C tier. Just nothing, no really big flaws with it, except that it just isn't any of the other monsters above it. Just really, these guys are just, they're there. They're there. They're almost there to being good, but they ain't good. Also, I'm adding one more tier I forgot to add. Because I always do S+, because, some things are just too good. They honestly should not exist. Oh, frick, I did that wrong. S+. We'll make this one a weird color. Let's go to straight up pink. Alright, I forgot about S+. Alright, anyway, we're getting to the B tier now, where we're starting to talk about some not familiars. It's not Ni no Kuni. Oh, no, there's one more C tier. That's Gigantes. Gigantes is a decent attacker, but again, like the Beastmaster, but definitely better than like the Beastmaster and like all these other guys. If Gigantes was gained so much earlier in the game, it's another one of those ones where it's like, if you're going to make it this like mediocre, it can't be that late in the game. Like if you're going to make a hard to level up guy who can get all the best stuff in the game and make it late game, I'm chill with that. If you make it worth it. But Gigantes getting an Estark's Labyrinth and having it be mediocre, it probably deserves a B tier if it was earlier in the game, but just giving it an Estark's Labyrinth is just way too late. Way too little, way too late. So yeah. Alright, now we're in the B tier. And the first in the B tier is going to be the Powie Wowie. The Powie Wowie has some really good stuff if you grind it out a little bit. It's like these ones, but you get it earlier in the game, so it's not as egregious. It has good stuff. It has cool things worth using, but its MP stat is awful, and it's hard to actually get enough MP to warrant using any of the Powie Wowie stuff. Its equipment is just so-so, nothing way too good. The Powie Wowie is just kind of there, but since you get it so early in the game, I think it's a pretty good recruit for early game. And once you get that MP up, it can be a solid pick. That seems a little silly to put it that high, though. I'm going to put it... I'm going to move it back a bit. Actually, I'm going to put it right there. I feel like it really is just the same as these guys. You get it early in the game, but it still isn't as good. It really comes down to the fact it just doesn't have enough MP. I think it deserves the C tier more than the B tier, so yeah. Alright, the Magic Marionette actually has one huge strength. Amazing resistances. Not like a liquid Metal Slime or Metal Slime. Not quite that good. But probably the third best magic resistance-wise in the entire game. I mean, that, I think, alone is enough to put in the B tier. It just really is not going to die very easily, but otherwise, it's just not a very interesting, very useful monster. But if you want a tank, which I don't really know why you want a tank in this game, because it's not hard enough for a tank, but if you want a tank, this is a pretty solid choice, so why not? Alrighty, let's move on to Chimera. Chimera is kind of the same idea as the Beastmaster. It has pretty fine stats, pretty fine attack and all that stuff. But unlike the Beastmaster, it's a multi-heal early in the game before you get the hero's sun. So it's actually an early game, best way to get early game multi-heal. But again, its stats aren't way too good. And really, at that point in the game, you really don't even need multi-heal. The game is like too easy anyway. So I don't know. I think you don't really need multi-heal yet, but I mean, if you want multi-heal early in the game, Chimera is a good way to do it. Alright, next is the Ghost. Actually, I think the Ghost deserves below the Chimera. I think the Chimera's multi-healing is pretty good, but the Ghost has a couple of good abilities. I mean, it's not going to, like, make you write home about it, but it's just... And a big part of why it's this high is because it can get really high stats if you level it up to 99. Really high HP, pretty good strength, agility, and resilience. and it has some good abilities. It gets Kerplunk, Kefrizzle. I mean, yeah, that's really the two good abilities it gets, and you have to level it up a lot, like level 65. But it also gets good weapons, fine armor. It's not bad. It's like a better Draki, pretty much. Yeah, that's about it. I mean, it's not going to be as good as I think. I underrated the Chimera a little bit because the early game multi heal is actually really good, but yeah, really good compared to some of these other B tier guys. But yeah, really, the Ghost is nothing too special, nothing good enough to bring to the late game, but it is one of the better level. Oh, also another reason why it is a bit lower, because it probably deserves to be higher based on its stats, is because it's way too late in the game to be getting this guy. Again, it's just a late game recruit, because they added it later on where you could go to this island and fight guys from the first dungeon update in towers, and it just really wasn't, a little bit too late again. And it's not like leveling up to 99 is going to make it a broken character like some of the other late game ones, like some of the ones you get after literally doing everything in the game. Like those guys can become the best, like most broken, insane characters in probably the whole series if you level them up enough. Whereas like the Ghost, it's a late gamer, like a pretty late game one, but still, no matter what you do, it's not even going to be that good. So yeah, really not great. All right. Moving below the Chimera, because I put the Chimera a little too low, are the Restless Armor and Tuppence. I think I'm going to have to put Tuppence lower since you get him later. But these guys are basically, if you've played Dragon Quest IV, they're just Ragnar from Dragon Quest IV. They're just solid tanks with a lot of attack, but that's about it. They can't do anything else. They're still going to be better than a Gigantes or a Brownie or a Hoodlum, in my opinion. But like, I don't know. It's just physical attack, and that's about it. Physical attackers are great, but you can also, again, there are plenty of physical attackers that can do so many other things as well. So as much as these guys are really good tanks, really good physical attackers, they're not outstanding. All right, so let's move on to a couple other ones. Flamethrower is a good, he has a lot of breath attacks, and early game that can be pretty solid. If you level him up enough, he can get some of the better breath attacks in the game. He can do a good amount of damage, and yeah, oh no, not that high. I'll probably put him here. He really does have some potential to be a pretty solid character with some good weapons and all that stuff. I think I want to put him in C tier. I don't think he's quite as good as some of these guys, but I think he has potential to be a pretty solid, and I'll move him back a bit. I think he has potential to be a pretty solid recruit, though. Just not as good as a lot of the other ones. All right, next is going to be the Prestidigitator, which has some good magic. Probably it's the best early game mage wherever I can find it. Really the best early game mage character other than perhaps the jail cat, which is right here. If I can find the Prestige, oh, it's going to be P. So, oh, here it is. Okay. Prestidigitator, good early game mage recruit with some good fire spells. That's really about it. I mean, it's not bad, but it's not amazing. I had it for a while, probably 2 or 3 dungeons, but not enough that I was like, I should keep this guy in my party. But he does get some good fire magic, and it's definitely good enough that I think he deserves to be in the B tier. Probably not above those guys, though. Let's put him here in the B tier. All right, so let's talk about the next characters on this list, which are going to be Sancho and Pancras. All right, so Pancras is so OP, or however you pronounce it. I don't even know. So overpowered when you have him. Like, he does like 1 million damage, and he obliterates everything. But of course, you only have him for a little bit. But I still think I found more use of him than any of these people It's that funny. Like I honestly can't recommend any of these guys. I mean, as much as I said some of these guys aren't that bad, again, you only have 8 party slots, and probably 4 of those are going to be filled by humans. You have to think 4 monsters in the whole game. You just can't pick mediocre ones. Anyway, Pancrase is really good for Generation 1, and Sancho, just a solid, I'll probably put him below. He's a solid unit. He has some good attacks, some decent abilities, a couple of like more exclusive abilities you can't really find too much elsewhere, although they're really not worth having the party for. But you know, he's a solid recruit. Not an amazing one, but a solid one nonetheless. All right. Dwight is going to be next on our list. Dwight is basically a upgraded form of the hoodlum, but a little bit better. But you know, I can see him having more use than Pancrase because you can. But not really. He starts at level 1 and he starts so weak. You know, I want to move him down a bit. I'm going to put him here. I think that's a more fair assessment because he really just starts too weak. Again, too little, too late, but not bad if you really, really invest time into him, but still not that great. All right, let's move on to the next one, which is going to be the Revolting Horse. So, first of all, this has a cool name. If I can find it, that would be great. Okay, here we go. The Revolting Horse. It might go above the Chimera. I just need a refresher on what exactly it does. But the Revolting Horse does get a couple of good abilities, if I remember correctly. Oh, yes. Okay, so it gets Oomph, Full Heal, Insulatal, and Boom, which are all pretty solid abilities, as a lot of health, good amount of strength, good amount of luck, so you'll be hitting some good critical hits with it. And it does get all right armor, not like anything special, but not anything bad. I think the oomph, the good HP stats, the full heal, I still don't think it's as valuable as an early game multi heal, but still pretty good. All right, next is the Blizzy Body. It's just a way better version of the Flamethrower, and I'll put it right here. Way better version of the Flamethrower that actually can do a decent amount of damage. But at that point in the game, when you can get the Blizzy Body, you can also get the Archdemon, which is just a better all-around recruit. Like, again, the Blizzy Body's just, it's just breath attacks, but ice, and does more damage than the Flamethrower. Whereas the Archdemon has a lot more versatility as well as a couple breath attacks. So, I don't know. I don't really think the Blizzy Body's all that great, but it's not too bad either. Alright, next is the Orc King, which I expected to be a lot more physical based, but it has some good magic, which is interesting. I didn't expect an Orc King to be a decent magic caster. But here we are. It's 2023. What do you want? It has Thwack, Multi-Heal, Crackle. Wow, that's good. And a lot of HP and MP. And then its other stats are all garbage. So, again, it's hard when stats are just not really comparable. And it gets some really good abilities. It gets Whack, Thwack, Zing, Multi-Heal, Kazing, Crackle. Some really good spells. But by the point you can get the Orc King, better to just be using your humans and people who are not stat deficient. Like, that's the problem. So many of these monsters just don't have good stats, and it's hard to compare amazing stats with bad stats, no matter what their abilities are. So yeah. All right, the Jail Cat, again, is not anything too special, but you get it really early in the game, and it actually carries for a while. It's a really good physical attacker, and it has some good ice magic. And I mean, it's not amazing, but it's a really good recruit for the early game, and it's one that can stay for longer than like a Fungool or a Powie Wowie or any of those guys. Like it, or a Brownie. Like, it has a little bit more of a, like, has more of a useful period. I don't know what word to say, but like, it's better for longer than a lot of these other guys, and that really puts it this high. But yeah, the Jail Cat has some good versatility, some good damage for the beginning of the game. So yeah, I think it's a pretty solid recruit. All right, just a couple more in the B tier. We're almost to some guys that are worth using. I mean, the B tier really, again, the B tier is good, but in a game where you get basically are using 3 or 4 human characters, a lot of people decide to leave the wife behind because she's a little weaker. But when you're only using 3 or 4 human characters, you cannot. When you're using only 4 or 5 monsters, you can't pick bad ones. So really, just a lot of these guys are just not recommendable. Like, I don't think anybody but like the top 3. Anybody but like the top like 5 to 10 are recommendable in any way of the word. Like, I would not recommend them. The reasons, some of them are going to be like earlier games versus later game ones, and so like, I don't know, there's probably like 12 monsters. I'll tell you once I start thinking there's monsters that you should actually like think about recruiting, though. Don't worry about that. But the Mandrake Marshal is a late game recruit. So late. So late. But it has really good stats, Kasap, good wind magic, good equipment, has Metal King stuff. It's all solid enough. It's all just a really solid endgame. I'm gonna put it a little bit lower. I'll put it here because I mean, again, a little too little too late, but honestly it's still solid. Like, it's solid enough that I think a B tier is fair. But even if you like max out this guy, he's still going to be good, but he's not going to be one of your best party members no matter what. Although the Miracle Sword will make him nice. I guess the Miracle Sword's pretty good, but really in the end, Mandrake Marshal is nothing too special. All right, and last in this tier is going to be another endgame recruit that is notoriously difficult to get, and that is going to be the Killing Machine, or I think the Killbot in the original version, which is kind of like that. But max strength, max resilience, super high HP, great agility, insanely powerful equipment. The Killing Machine should be amazing, but again, it has no abilities, and I mean, it has really good stats. It has no ability. I don't know. I'm gonna put this one in the bottom of A tier because it really just does have amazing stats, really good equipment. It's basically the Ragnar. Like, I said the other ones are Ragnar, but this is like the true Ragnar. This lives up to the name of Ragnar, the Killing Machine, whereas those other ones really didn't. Like, they were just like Ragnar copied, like taking a picture of a picture of a picture of a picture of Ragnar, whereas this is actually Ragnar. Alright, let's move on. The Warhog is next on this list. It has really good HP. Why did I put this so high? I think I was high on crack when I was... No, this does not deserve to be this high. But what it has is buff, oomph, and Kasap. But really, I mean, and it has good HP. But the Warhog is not good enough to put nearly as high as I just said. So it is not an A tier. I don't know why I said it was an A tier. That is silly of me. I'm going to put it right here. Still, it has some decent abilities, so I think I can say, and it has decent stats. Like, not awful stats, but not good enough to say it's in the A tier. Alright, let's move on to the Mini Demon. Okay, I like this guy. The Mini Demon's kind of fun. This is definitely an A tier recruit. It does not have the best stats. Its stats are pretty bad, but it has some really good magic. Boom, TikTok, Hocus Pocus, Kafrizzle, and Kaboom are all really good. I think technically the first monster you can recruit that has Kaboom available, and it has some decent equipment because it can equip like all the boomerangs and the Gringham Whip. The Mini Demon's actually a pretty solid recruit. I think it's definitely a worthy pick. Its stats are not phenomenal, but they all are good enough that it makes up for the fact. And yeah, the Kaboom and the Kafrizzle and the good weapons, I think the Mini Demon is a pretty good recruit, and I like it, and I used it a bit. Not too much, but enough that it was like, okay, it's worth it. So, yeah, one of the better ones, definitely. Mostly because the Kaboom, if you can get more people in your party with Kaboom, the better, because Kaboom is broken. And yeah, so anyone with Kaboom is instantly going to be a bit higher on the list. All right, next is going to be the Snowbird, which is not too hard to catch, but not too easy either. One of the later game ones has some really good abilities. Multi-heal, Cold Breath, which is a fantastic damage dealing ability. Cold Breath has 230 damage to all enemies. Never mind, that is in Dragon Quest 6. 140 damage to all enemies, but that's still pretty solid for no MP cost, and it's ice, which it's not too many good ice characters. So yeah, it gets multi-heal, Cold Breath, and yes, that is how it's pronounced, Cold Breath. And then also Thwack, which is always good, and it starts with Thwack, so that's good. And it gets boomerangs. It has all the equipment of like the Draki, and it doesn't have amazing stats, but has good HP, good enough strength, resilience, and agility, and some good abilities like multi-heal, the best ice breath attack in the game, and something that instantly kills a group of enemies. I'm not complaining. I would use that guy if there was more slots in the wagon. Obviously there isn't, but hey, if there were more slots in the wagon, I'd consider it. All right, next is the Cure Slime. The first slime on this list. We finally get a slime. And I think the Cure Slime's really the worst one, and here's why. You can get him after the Heal Slime, but his stats just end up being worse than the Heal Slime. The only thing that can be said about the Cure Slime that is better is it does have access to Omni Heal, if I remember correctly, yes. But it comes at level 30, it's too little too late. Whereas the Heal Slime, by the time you get the Cure Slime, you're around the corner to being able to get the King Cure Slime is just better. And the Omni Heal, you get way too late. And the Kabuff and stuff, you probably, if you're doing things, in my opinion, if you're doing things right, you'll have a pretty leveled up slime at this point that you can be using for your Kabuff anyway. And all this stuff, and just it's not really worth investing in when around the corner you can get a King Cure Slime. You already will probably have a pretty decently leveled Heal Slime at this point. That's already a good enough healer with much better stats. So Cure Slime, in my opinion, is the weakest slime recruit in the game. Not by too far, but still the weakest slime recruit in the game. Alright, next on this list is going to be the Man-O-War, which is our second worst slime in the game, which is something else. But I like the design. It's really cute. It's one of the cutest slimes I've seen. Perhaps the cutest on this list. Maybe not. I really do love the King Cure slime. I don't know why, but the green with the smile is really cute. But when it really comes down to it, the Man-O-War can get some insane stats at level 99. It has some good magic. It can have flame. It can have boomerangs, falcon knife earrings, and all the metal equipment. That's pretty impressive. And it can have Bianca's ribbon, which literally means nothing. But hey, it can have Bianca's ribbon, which, I mean, I'm not complaining. And the Metal King stuff. Yeah, it's just, and it has the second best. It has a lot of good ice magic. It has good status related stuff. And it's really all about, it can get really good stats, and it has really good equipment, and it has some decent, pretty decent abilities. So the Man-O-War, I actually used this guy for quite a while. And when I say quite a while, probably like 2 dungeons. But hey, longer than most of these guys, so fair enough. Alright, the Great Saber Cat. The Great Saber Cat has insane stats, tons of attack, tons of damage, tons of agility, and it gets that one thunder ability, which does like 70 damage to the whole enemy party for free, which I mean is weaker in terms of breath attacks, but hey, he has really good agility and attack that makes up for it. And really, it's just a really solid attacker that actually does get a couple of abilities, and it gets that one, I think War Cry or whatever, that like stuns all enemies on the screen, which when used against certain enemies, is absolutely broken. The Great Saber Cat is just an amazing attacker, and it's one of the only like high agility recruits other than the slimes. And that's really what makes the slimes so special in my opinion, is because they usually have such high agility. They usually can beat battles before the enemies even hit you. But really, the Gray Saber Cat is a really, really good recruit. Yeah. All right, we finally get to the first monster you'll probably catch in this entire game. That's the slime. I just put the slime that high, but really it's good. Like, it gets a lot of good metal stuff, like the Metal King armor, like you can put that all in the slime. It gets the boomerangs, which are really good at the beginning. Anyone who gets boomerangs at the beginning of the game, you want in your party, because just having a bunch of boomerangs will demolish everything. It gets Kabuff, Kasap, it gets some other things. It gets some breath attacks later on. I mean, not an amazing breath attack, and I think you have to get to level 99, so really don't. But it also gets Zing, it gets Safe Passage, it gets Poof, which, I mean, Poof isn't going to give you experience, but it's good in a last-ditch effort, just in case you're about to die. Yeah, oh, it gets Meditation, which will fully heal itself at level 77, and at level 99, it can do 170 damage to the whole party. Which probably by that point you can probably do that much of the boomerang anyway. But it also has insane agility, really good HP, really good strength, solid MP. I mean, yes, you have to invest in it a little bit, but a slime, I was using my slime until Generation 3. Started Generation 3 is when I finally dropped the slime for a Samagina, I think. Like, that's how good the slime is. Like, it is literally one of the best in the game. The basic slime. And I'm proud of the slime for making it this high on the list. At first I had it even higher. I wanted it to get super high on the list. But then I was like, okay, let's be honest here. It's not that good. But it's still really good. It's definitely, I would say, the slime and the Great Saber Cat are really worth investing in, to be honest. Because they're really good for the early game. Mana War a little bit too. I think these ones are really probably better than these two, but since these are such early game recruits, they're worth it because they can grow and they'll be in your game, be in your party early, and they'll be able to get those levels accruing and they'll be stronger. And it just, I mean, they might not be quite as good as these ones, but they're good enough to match them while still being early game. So I think those two are really good. But another one that's kind of early game but not so much is the Old Man of the Sea. And the Old Man of the Sea has good HP, good MP, good fine enough agility and resilience and all that, but it also gets some awesome magic. It gets Zing, it gets Crackle, the best ice spell, it gets Swoosh, the best ice spell, and Lightning, which is what I was talking about, the Great Saber Cat, which is a free breath attack, and it also gets pretty solid equipment and the Greenham Whip. It can have some of the best whips in the game, and it's just really, really solid, and it's early enough and has good enough stats where you can actually consider like bringing this along. And I'll just put it, I'm actually going to move it a little down. I'm going to put it, I think it's a little worse than the Mana War, actually, just because the Mana War can get quite a bit better than the Old Man of the Sea if you level it up higher. But in the end, it has some really good spells, and if you ever run out of MP, you can use Lightning and still do a decent amount of damage. So yeah, and it doesn't have as good of equipment as... I'm going to move this... it doesn't have too good of equipment now that I'm looking at it again. I'm going to move this down to the B tier, actually. I changed my mind. I want to put it right here, the Old Man of the Sea, because it just doesn't... It's kind of like a worse version of the Mana War now that I'm looking at it a second time. Alright, let's move on to the Mucifer, which is going to be next. And actually, the Mucifer is an upgraded version, which is cool. That is the Barbados. But the Mucifer, which is literally the most annoying enemy to catch in the entire game, I hate you, Barbados. But the Mucifer is solid. It's not quite as good as his older brother, but it is still broken as heck. Has insane HP, insane MP, really good strength. A lot of these type of enemies don't have great agility or defense, so has really great HP, MP, and strength. Its other stats aren't amazing, but it has some really good abilities. It gets the best ice spell in the game. It gets the best fire spell in the game. It has all the Metal King equipment, some of the other best weapons in the game, like the Flail of Destruction, the Blizzard Blade, the Miracle Sword, the Double-Edged Sword, some of those other things, as well as having Warcry, Focus Strength. Yeah, really good. And it's really, I mean, the stats are huge. Stats and equipment are a huge part of why this guy's amazing. But in the end, having the best ice and fire spells in the game is pretty versatile. And honestly, the Mustafer is almost as cool as the pun of its name. But yeah, it's just really good. Yeah, so Mustafer reigns supreme. All right, so let's move into the next character on this list, which is going to be, if I remember correctly, all right. Yeah, the next character on this list is actually going to be a human. Just kidding. No, it's not. Not quite yet. The next character on this list is going to be Sam Agena, which is actually a pretty solid recruit. Around the time of Gotha is when you can get it. And I'd say go for it. Like, this is one of those ones where I'm like, yeah, might have it in your party for a little bit. I had it in my party for like 4 dungeons, which, I mean, is nice. I ended up dropping it for an archdemon, but it was good enough. And it was a solid pick. And it was, yeah, Samagina has some really, really good stuff. Thwack, awesome as ever. Kafrizzle, best single target magic spell in the game. Freezing Blizzard, great breath attack. Second best ice breath attack in the game. And it can equip all the Metal King stuff except for the sword for some reason. But it can equip all the Metal King armor. So that is really good. And yeah, and it gets good stats. Really great HP, decent strength, decent. Yeah, and just has great abilities across the board and pretty decent stats and pretty awesome equipment. So the Samagina is a pretty good recruit. All right. Let's move into the next character on this list, which is actually going to be a human. I accidentally called the Samagina a human about 5 seconds ago, but we're actually going to talk about a human now, and that is going to be Bianca, or Bianca's torso, I guess. I would say Bianca's the weakest wife, because in the end, Deborah's a great attacker, and Nero's a great magic caster. And Bianca's kind of just, I think the best thing Bianca gets is Kafrizzle and Kasizzle. And I mean, Kafrizzle's good, but also Deborah hitting is probably just about the same amount of damage if you have a good weapon on her, so that's not too impressive. But really, Bianca is a really solid character. I mean, the humans are generally the most powerful characters in the game, except if you get a couple of the few very rare monsters that are better. But in the end, Bianca is just good. But not quite as good as the next couple characters in the A tier. So next character in the A tier is the ultimate breath attacker, and that's the Great Dragon. The Great Dragon may not have the best equipment. It actually has awful equipment. Except, I mean, it has good weapons, but its armor is pretty bad. But it has amazing stats, super high HP, super high strength, super high resilience, great luck, and decent agility. And it just has the most powerful ice and fire breath attacks in the game. And it will just be doing so much damage, and it's just awesome. And I think it's a little bit better than Bianca, which is kind of depressing to say because I do not want to be calling a dragon better than a human, but that's just kind of how it turns out. And yeah. Oh, right. The Hyper Animon. The Hyper Animon is busted as, I don't even know, has insane stats. Not the best strength, but over 200 of everything else. It still has good strength, don't get me wrong. And it has insane HP, insane MP, the best wind spell in the game, the 2 best lightning spells in the game, Zap and Kazap, which are different for different Zap is good for hitting everyone because Zap is good for hitting groups. This guy's just going to demolish everything, has all the Metal King equipment, all the really good other pieces of equipment, except for the Metal King sword, but he still can get the Miracle Sword, which is still a really good weapon. And yeah, he might not be hitting insane amounts of physical damage with that Miracle Sword and that pretty low strength, but he will always go super fast. He will survive so well with the HP and the resilience, and yeah, and that magic is great. Having two people casting Kazap is insane. If you have Hyper Animon and as I called him, Banks, aka the hero's son, you just have a really good character. Now, is it good enough to warrant having to be as late of the game as Estark's Labyrinth? Probably. I mean, it's kind of good. It has really good stats and can cast perhaps the best damaging spell in the game outside of Kaboom, but not quite an S tier because it is a bit later and it just isn't insanely overpowered broken enough to say it is an S tier when it's this late in the game. And then the very top of A tier is going to be the Heal Slime, which will be perhaps the best healer in the game, as well as a good boomerang user for quite a while. Again, this one comes down to the early access of it. If a Heal Slime you got around the same time as, like, I don't know, King Slime, it'd probably be in the C tier or something. Or I guess, sorry, my bad. King Cure Slime. But it just is a really good healer for a long time. And it can equip boomerangs, and it's got that, and it has the agility. Having a healer with good agility is just so good. Like, I mean, think Chimera. It might go after all your guys are dead. I mean, this game's not that hard, but you want your healer to have a lot of agility, and you want it to be able to do something when it's not healing, and having a boomerang is the exactly perfect thing to do. And I think the Heal Slime is one of the best in the game. I had it all the way up until I ditched it for a King Cure Slime, which is absolutely broken. Yeah, it is a really good unit to have in the party. All right, next on this list, the 1-2 punch of absolutely broken, really weird late game, weird thingamabobby majiggies is going to be Rebjorn and Starkers. Rebjorn being the slightly worse one, but these guys are both broken as sin. They have like the best stats in the game, especially Starkers can get max of everything. Literally, I'm not even joking. Max of everything. Whereas Rebjorn trails a little behind, but still has amazing everything. But the problem is you have to get it to like level 60 before it starts getting good, and they're pretty hard to level up. However, they're just so broken that putting them below the S tier just felt wrong. As much as they don't really have the application of, I don't know, everything above the Man o' War and above. No, anything A tier or above, like any of these guys in the A tier probably have more actual like application, actual use than Starkers and Rebjorn, but these guys can just get way too good that it would be embarrassing to myself to not put them this high on the list. As weird as that may sound. All right, we're getting into some of the everything down here I'm gonna have to say are like the ultimate characters. So I'm gonna have to say Metal Slime is first. I mean, it's next in the S tier. Metal Slime, first of all, the boomerang. These guys get so much strength per level up at the beginning of the game. They will be your best attacker for a while. With their boomerangs, they're going to be doing so much damage, or their claws if you want to go that route instead, which I wouldn't recommend. But the boomerangs, they also have Insulatal, if I remember correctly. Let me check that. But Insulatal, Kabuff, pretty sure they have Insulatal, Kabuff, Frizz, and Frizzle. Yeah, so they'll be a pretty good fire mage for a little while. But here's the thing. This guy can be carried until the end of the game. Not as good as a Liquid Metal Slime, because Liquid Metal Slimes have more stuff, but Also, just as good as a liquid metal slime because that's different abilities. Could buff and Insulatal, you might not be using those every turn, but those are valuable abilities, and they have amazing stats. They have insane HP, MP, resilience, agility, luck. That's a big one, luck, because you can hit criticals. And strength, I mean, 110 HP might not sound like a lot, but remember that they can't get hurt by magic, and that's insane. And they still have max resilience. Like they start with 230 resilience, and max is 255. Like they're not going to get hurt until like the super boss. Like they are broken. Like it's absolutely insane. Also, what happened? The golem was not supposed to be this high. Sorry, I forgot to put the golem down. The golem is around here. Or no, around here. Really good physical attacker, but not the best. Really good resilience and stuff, but perfect time to talk about it because it just really is way worse than the metal slime in my opinion. I mean, like its strength is better, but again, you got to think of more than just brutal strength and HP and resilience because this guy has all that plus some good abilities and agility. So just gotta say that's about it. Yeah, it's insane. All right, but there are still some better, which is it's crazy that I'm actually saying that there are better guys than a guy who's basically invincible. But the biggest problem with the metal slime is it is so hard to catch. Like all the metal ones, it's crazy. It's just too hard to catch for me to say that it's better than this guy, the Slime Knight. The Slime Knight is just so easy to get. You can get it right off the bat. It has awesome equipment throughout the game, awesome abilities. It's very well rounded, jack of all trades, master of none. Fantastic stats and resistances. Its stats are part of the biggest reason why it's amazing. It has the stats of a human character basically all around, and it just basically is a second version of the hero. Like honestly, almost exactly the same as the hero, but instead of having the wind magic spells, it has bang and boom. And it's really good. And it can get max strength and it can get lots of like the metal equipment, and it just some people say it's the best in the game, and I can get behind that. It's just so good, and it stays amazing throughout the game, especially even um like even longer than a lot of these other guys. I still had it. I was using this guy even in the super boss fight, all the way from when I caught it to the super boss fight. I was still using my slime knight. Not even my metal slime lasted. Actually, no, my metal slime did last that long. Metal slime and the slime knight stayed in my party the whole game. And yeah, like really, these guys are just so good. And yeah, the slime knight's super balanced, and it's just such a good. It's like the perfect red mage type ally to have. Like there's never a situation where it's bad, even if you're using as a heal bot in the menu, it's still really good. Like I don't know, it's awesome. All right, next on this list is going to have to be Deborah. Deborah is not this high. My bad. She's going to have to go. You know, I think the metal slime needs to move above actually, and then Deborah needs to move top 8 here. She's definitely better than. No, I. Let's see. Where. She's definitely better than Bianca because she has the Hella Hammer and some of those double hitting weapons and good crit chances. But also, no, I think I'm just going to put her right above Bianca, actually. Deborah's good, but not really good enough. Oh, but she's also really good for grinding. Well, she's one of the only people at the Hella Hammer that doesn't have awful agility. So actually, I'll put her right here. She's a good character, good physical attacker. She has oomph and she has some good magic spells, but it's really all about the Hella Hammer, the Achilles, and the Falcon Blade. It's her equipment that really makes her better than Bianca in my opinion, and her stats are better than Bianca's. Her spells might not be as good. She might not be able to equip the whip, but really some of her equipment is really good. So I was gonna put her above the metal slime, which in retrospect sounds kind of stupid, but Deborah's still a pretty good character overall. All right, let's see. Next on this list, let's see. I gotta check back. I gotta check back a couple things. Again, some of these guys, like if these guys you got like Great Dragon, Hyper Animon, you got earlier in the game, they would be absolutely broken. They're so good, but it's just that's just not the case. But all right, okay. Next, the Barbados. Oh boy, the Barbados is absolutely broken. The Barbados. Nope, next is not Barbados. My bad, I messed that up. Next is gonna have to be Nira and the daughter. Nira and the daughter are basically the same. It's kind of hard to even distinguish them. I mean, obviously they are different. I think the daughter's a little better, just by a little bit, but not really. I named the daughter Stelia, if you care, which you probably don't, but they're about the same in how good they are. Deborah is my favorite to have in the party because she's different than Nira, but she's really not better than Nira. Actually, the funniest thing is they have the same attack stat by the end. So even though Deborah has better attack, like attacking equipment, she really doesn't even have a better strength stat than Nira. Nira definitely is the best wife, like combat wise. But I would never pick her because she's like the exact same as the daughter, but having two of the daughter is not really a bad thing. Like, honestly, they have a lot of good spells. They have Oomph, Kaboom. I mean, Oomph and Kaboom already, like, make them awesome. But then they just have great stats across the board because the humans just always have great stats. So, yeah. I hate to say that Bianca and Deborah are below, especially since Deborah is my favorite one. And Nero's my least favorite one, like, personality-wise. But whatever. I guess we just have to go with that. So whatever. Okay, anyway. Why is the King Slime so high on this list? This is not okay. I forgot to rank the King Slime. That is really weird. Where does the King Slime... Oh. King Slime is going way down here. I forgot the King Slime and the Golem. I don't know how I did this. King Slime, I'm going to be putting right here. Because as soon as you can get the King Slime, like 2 dungeons later, you can get the King Cure Slime and it's just better. But the King Slime does have some really good equipment and some good abilities and all that jazz. So, forgot. I was like, wait, why is it so high? But no, it doesn't deserve to be that high. Okay. Next on this list is going to be the Barbados. Nope, not the Barbados quite yet. The Hero. The Hero is so good. It's kind of weird because the Hero just has amazing stats and amazing attacking because the Hero gets a lot of like exclusive equipment and stuff. I guess he's not really the hero, the protagonist, but I mean, magic wise, his healing is good, but compared to other Dragon Quest games, his magic damage is crap, like straight up crap. Like compared to Dragon Quest 4, where you're getting Kazap and doing so much damage, because Swoosh is just weak. So, I mean, yeah. But also, the best attacking in the game, insane boomerang damage throughout the whole game. Like, you can't go wrong with the hero, and you have to have him in your party, so he's always going to be super high level and stuff. You don't have to have him you have to have him in your wagon at least, so you don't have to take him in a dungeon. But you basically have to have him in your party. So, yeah, and if it's an important story place, yes, you have to take him. So, I don't know. Like, really, the hero is very good. But the next is going to have to be the Barbados. Barbados is so late game. I know. But it is so good. It's not quite as late game as Rebjorn and what's his face? Rebjorn and Starkers, but it's just about as good as those two. Not quite as good as those two, maybe even better than Rebjorn, actually. Barbados is that good. Even without having to do some insane unlocking stuff, it gets Kazing, Kaboom, like low level, it gets Kazing and Kaboom, two of the best spells in the game, as well as most of the best breath attacks. It's insane how good the Barbados is. But I can't quite say the Barbados is as good as the Hero's Son, who is going to make it to the very top of S tier. Because the Hero's Son, what sets it apart from the Barbados is it has Kazap, like, he has a ton of damage, like the Barbados. Really good stats, like the Barbados. Actually, but the best part is the multi-heal. That's why there's like a little separation. The Barbados is better than these three, but I can't quite say he's better than the Hero's Son, because the Hero's Son gets, and also gets all the Zenithian equipment, which is really good at that point in the game. Gets all the good magic, gets the multi-healing capabilities, and I mean, he's only human. He's the only character that doesn't suck that has multi-heal. I mean, like, most of the people who get multi-heal are not really worth keeping in the party, whereas he is, because he has good stats. And I mean, Omni-Heal is better, obviously, but yeah, I mean, just crazy stuff here. And honestly, we're getting into the good stuff here. The S plus, starting with the Archdemon. Why do I think the Archdemon's better than Barbados? First of all, because there's actually, you can get it pretty early in a Generation 3 and use it. Like, this is a broken monster that you can actually use. That's basically what these last three are. Broken monsters that you can use by the time you, like, really get them. And in the end, I mean, I was taking the four. Yeah, I'll get to my favorite parties after, once I finish it. But yeah. Anyway, the Archdemon has great stats, insane strength, insane HP, solid MP, solid resilience, solid luck. And it's not as good as the Barbados. But here's the thing. Well, not as good damage-wise, but here's what makes this guy special. First of all, he has great magic. Kaboom. Does a ton of damage. Just, he gets that right off the bat. Kaboom right off the bat. And he gets some breath attacks, also right off the bat. He gets all of his stuff by level 20, even though he's a level 99 guy. So he gets all his really good stuff super quick. Unlike most guys who get to level 99, and it takes them to like level 70 to get anything good. Top of that, he gets the best fire breath attack in the game. He gets the best damaging spell in the game. He gets Kasap, which is one of the best debuffing spell in the game. Full heal, which is awesome, because he's a healer too. And he gets meditation, which will heal himself to full HP no matter how much health he has. Basically, he's an unstoppable killing machine, and the only reason he isn't, the only thing that's really bringing him down, I mean, I wouldn't put him at the top anyway, because the next two are just so busted. But he is so good. Just equip a Meteorite Bracer on the Archdemon, and it will be your best character, or best damage dealer, best, like, so many things. But the only reason the Liquid Metal Slime is going to place above the Archdemon is because of that insane resilience, insane everything. It's just basically an unkillable Kaboom bot. It just, you spam, and it's pretty easy to get to max level because there's only 8 levels, and it gets so much HP and defense and stuff per level up. So as you get more level ups, you're just doing so much. And the Kaboom, okay, just think of someone spamming the best offensive spell in the game over and over again without getting damaged. That is the Liquid Slime, Liquid Metal Slime. And it's not, that's the biggest problem with the Metal Slime, is that it just doesn't have, it's like broken, but it just, there's not really a point to put it in your party later in the game, because other people can cast a buff and all that stuff. But in the end, I mean, I still love the Metal Slime, but in the end, when it comes down to it, the Liquid Metal Slime is just absolutely broken, and it's just so good. Like, you should be using the Liquid Metal Slime. and it takes a while to catch. But the good thing about this versus like the Barbados is you're getting tons of experience and it's worth catching. Whereas the Barbados, you're just like, ugh. Or the Killing Machine, you're just like, ugh. Or any of those other, I think those are the only, yeah. The Barbados and the Killing Machine are super annoying to catch. Whereas the Metal Slimes are annoying to catch, but at least it feels like you achieved something because of all the experience you get. But honestly, easily the best in the game. As much as the Archdemon is like the jack of all trades, master of all, broken guy that you can actually recruit. Liquid Metal Slime's untouchable. The King Cure Slime is stupid. Stupid. Like, whoever thought this guy was balanced makes me laugh. Because the fact that this made it into the game, this is basically an instant win button. You have the King Cure Slime. You cannot lose this game. If you lose this game when you have a King Cure Slime in your party and you are using the King Cure Slime, then I think there's something wrong with you, or you just need some help or something, because this is literally so broken. It levels up just as fast as any other thing in the game, and it only gets level 20, but at level 20, it has 400 HP, 500 MP, and it gets Omni Heal at level 1, it gets Insuladal, Kazing, Kerplunk, and Puff. The big thing is the insane amount of HP, MP, and Omni Heal. And Kerplunk. You can use all that HP and MP up, and if somehow you're about to die again, all your other people are dead, his HP is so high, so he's still going to be alive, you Kerplunk, and everyone's back to full HP. Then you can revive him and keep Kerplunking. It's insane. It's like just a way better version of this Rock Bomb garbage, but you can just Kerplunk him as much as you want. How is this fair? Like, this is literally a cheat code. Using the King Cure Slime is a cheat code. I mean, using the Liquid Metal Slime is already much of a cheat code. Archdemon's already broken enough. The Sun, the Barbados, the Hero, already pretty broken. I mean, those other two are... I don't know. I mean, those other two, I don't know. I feel like actually I'm... No, they have Oomph, though. Never mind. Oomph is really good. No, don't move up there. But yeah, honestly, the King Cure Slime is just so broken. All right, that's my tier list. But before I end this video, I'm just going to do one more quick thing. And I am going to I'm going to tell you all the best. I mean, you can see what the best here is. But if I had to get an optimal party out there, here's what I would say. So, obviously for the end game, you want the 4 of your family, just because it's stupid if you don't. And then I would say Archdemon, Liquid Metal Slime, and King Cure Slime. That is not the Liquid Metal Slime. Because like those are actually like attainable. And then I would have to, because I mean Barbados, like these guys are broken as heck. But I mean they're hard to get later in the game. So this is like Endgame. I would go this team probably. The Metal Slime will probably be maxed out at this point. So, I don't know. It depends. If you really leveled up a Metal Slime from the beginning of the game, I'd go Metal Slime. But otherwise, I'd go Slime Knight. So, this is what I would say Endgame. Then post-game, Estark's Labyrinth and stuff, I would go. If you really wanted the best team in the game, no questions asked, it would be... No, definitely not the wife or this. If you really just want the straight up best team in the game, this would be it. Hero Sun, Liquid Metal Slime, King Cure Slime, Barbados, Estark, Rebjorn, and Archdemon. Like, if you just literally want the most OP setup, like, if you're going to get everyone to max level, that's the best team you can get. Like, that really just is the best. And then the last thing I want to do is an earlier game one, because early game is where people are really like, what's actually good? I would go Hero, Slime, Metal Slime, Slime Knight. Your wife, probably I would count early games. So whoever you put your wife, I'll put near us since her face actually showing. For 5, Heel Slime, 6. Great Sabercat, 7. Then I'd honestly have to go Jailcat. I think I'm going to say Jailcat. Or Manowar. Depends. Like super early game Jailcat, but like earlier probably Manowar. I'll go with Manowar. That's probably my favorite party early game, is to have you and your wife, and then just all these slimes, and then the Manowar and the Sabercat. Because in the end, it's a pretty balanced party, and you can just, all the slimes go super fast, and it's really good. If you don't want to grind for Metal Slime, I would say Jailcat. Take the Jailcat. Most people don't want to grind for the Metal Slime, especially that early in the game. It's just kind of annoying. So yeah. And then actually I'll do one last one. Like not an end game, but like around right when you get to Gotha. Right around Gotha, I would go your family, because you have your family at that point. Samagina, 5. One liquid metal, either a liquid metal or metal, if you have the patience. If you don't have the patience, I would say keep your normal slime. So let's just say normal slime, just to assume people don't have too much patience. 6, 7. Yeah, it's really not too different. I would just say this. So it's not, yeah. Samagina is a really good, really, really good at that point in the game, in my opinion. And I think yeah. So, again, those are all the, feel free to rewind and stuff if you want to know what's like really good for the, I did that in a really weird order. But again, I started with Endgame, then Postgame, then Earlygame, then, Midgame, I would have to say is this. Not really Midgame, but kinda. Yeah, so that's my list. Oh, if you want to go really, actually, I'll do one more. I'll do really early game, like right off the bat. Like when you have Harry, I would go those 3, wherever Harry is. So you have those 2, the Slime Knight. Most people aren't going to bother with the Metal Slime at this point. They probably don't even know about it. 4, 5, 6. Since this is really early, this is a little hard actually. Oh, 7. Most people aren't going to go for the Metal Slime, so I would fill it out with the Metal Slime. But since that's not really achievable in most people's minds that early in the game, because I'm an idiot, so I do weird things. I'd probably go Small Fry or Dracky, but probably Small Fry for this point. So if you want to go really early game, I would recommend Hero, Harry, Slime, Slime Knight, Grudger, Fungool, Jailcat, and Small Fry, like right off the bat. So I'll put the time stamps. I don't know why I did it in such a stupid order, but again, I did the late game, then the post game, then the like the mid game, then the like mid late game, and then the super early game here. So that's what I got. So hopefully I was able to help you with your party recommendations, because this game is daunting and there are so many monsters. And if you haven't played the game before, I mean, there wasn't too many spoilers in this video. So if you haven't played the game before, hopefully I was able to help you out. And if you've played the game before and you want like an optimal playthrough next time around, I spent a lot of time experimenting with these guys, cross-referencing their stats and all that stuff. So also, this is not right. zoom back in the video if you want to like snap a picture or something of the final product, because this is not the final product. I kind of messed it up, but in the end, I hope I helped, and I hopefully, if you want like a peak party throughout the entire game, just listen back to this video and listen to the different throughout the game parties I explained. I know not everyone's going to agree with this list. I definitely like the slimes a lot. I think they're really good. But yeah, I think this is I think I'm pretty accurate here. I think I've got it pretty spot on. Maybe some of the like the lower ones are probably swapped around. Maybe I messed that up a little bit. But yeah, I want to do one last thing before I end the video. I'm going to guess what I think the most popular party in the community is, because that seems fun. I think the hero, Nira, most people agree on is the most powerful wife. So the family 4, King Cure Slime's really popular, 5. Liquid Metal's really popular, 6. The Jail Cat is really popular, 7. Oh, no, Slime Knight needs to be on here. Slime Knight, then Golem. This seems like what people... I think that's what a lot of people say is the best party. The 4, and then the King Cure Slime, Liquid Metal Slime, Slime Knight, and Golem. I don't like the Golem as much as a lot of people. A lot of people also say ditch the wife if you don't care about sentimental value. So maybe these 3 and then those 5. It also depends on the version you're playing. If you're playing SNES, a lot of people say the optimal party is these 3, which I would have to disagree. I'd probably say these 2 and King Cure Slime, or in the SNES version, King Cure Slime or Liquid Babble, or maybe Barbados really late in the game. But anyway, hopefully I was able to help. I really wanted to make this video for my fun and to help anyone who is struggling with how many monsters there are in this game. So hopefully I was able to help out. Hopefully this was in depth. Hopefully you enjoyed. And thank you so much. Have a great day. Peace out, RPG fans.
Thanks to my good man Chemo for being a patron. If you want tons of exclusive RPG content, join now as a patron today.